This video is sponsored by CuriosityStream. As a lot of you probably know, I've been going through TikTok lately looking at all the Christian cringe, and no conversation on Christian cringe is complete without mentioning Big Nick. I'd never heard of him before, but apparently he got famous on Vine. He had almost 3 million subbies on there. When Vine went under, he created a TikTok account and once again has about 3 million followers. He was also on David Dobrik's vlogs a lot.
Are you kidding?
That's impressive.
Yeah, it is.
So where'd you get the elf?
The elf. Oh,
I don't
no.
mean this fucking line anymore.
He was basically a punching bag for views for years. Eventually he went on to do his own thing, and that's when it got really weird. Let's take a look at Big Nick and see what he's all about. Let's get into it. Before we get into who Big Nick is, we have to mention who he was. Let me give you some context for how he got famous before he moved to TikTok. I don't really think he was a victim of all this exactly, but he was complicit. He was just a member of the friend group, and they shredded him on a regular basis. If that's what you do with your friend groups in the privacy of your own home, then far be it for me to stop you. But this isn't really the privacy of their own home. This was aired to an audience of millions.
What did you do with your head of hair? Big Nick, were you at home just thinking to yourself, David doesn't make fun of me enough. You look like you dipped your head into a bunch of melted airheads. Finally, I can make fun of something that you weren't born with. I make fun of you for your disability all the time. Now you dye your hair, I make fun of you for that. People are like, yo, you shouldn't be so mean to his hair.
I don't necessarily have a problem with jabs about people's hair, but making fun of immutable characteristics like that in front of millions of people normalizes it to everybody watching. Now, that's not all it was about. They seemed to be a normal friend group that ribbed on each other all the time, played pranks and stuff. But this next one is pretty revealing. Check this out.
1, 2, 3, go. It's a skunk.
Yo, get that fucking out of my house. Get it out of my house. Get it out, get it out, get it out.
Listen,
get it out, bro.
Why are you so stressed out? What's going on?
This is really good clickbait, though.
This is really good clickbait, though. That's what it's all about. He was basically a punching bag for clicks. That brings us to today. He stopped working with David Dobrik, turned to Jesus, and started his own TikTok, and it was all downhill from there. The reason we're talking about him today is because he has 3 million followers on TikTok. So what's he doing that's so fascinating to 3 million people? Well, for one thing, he started a rap career, and I have to be honest, he is actually phenomenally good. Seriously, he is a very good lyricist. It's extremely impressive. I say that without a hint of irony. I don't want to play any music because I don't want to get hit with a copyright strike, but let's take a look at the lyrics. He says, everybody's scared to say it, but I'm not afraid. Buddha, Allah, all them frauds, Christ's the only way. Progressive Christians need to change because they aren't saved. Need y'all to read Revelation 21:8. They hate on me because I'm pro-life, that's so strange. Satan got these people fooled, got them deranged. But I'm here to fight the darkness, yeah, it's time to make a change. I'm trying to help you out from burning in eternal flames. I wonder how he came to the conclusion that Buddha and Allah were frauds, but Christ isn't. Does he have evidence we don't? What set of premises was he using to reach that conclusion? I'll let you in on a little secret. The evidence that Christianity is a correct religion is just as strong as the evidence for Islam or Buddhism being the correct religions. Paper thin. You have to take it on faith. Now, I don't have a problem with that necessarily. If you want to believe in one or the other based on faith, fine, be my guest. But the definition of faith, as told to us in the Bible, is belief in things not seen, i.e., we don't have evidence for it. If we had evidence, we wouldn't need faith. If we need faith, we don't have evidence. As long as you're walking into it with that knowledge, then be my guest. I just don't like the fact that a whole new set of beliefs necessarily comes with being a part of Big Nick's denomination specifically. Actually, it's possible he doesn't even have a specific denomination, but he's obviously part of a broader movement of Christianity called evangelicalism. It's like fundamentalist Christianity, like a branch of Pentecostalism. They have very specific beliefs about how the world works. God communicates with prophets in the world today, and anybody can receive prophecy from God if they believe hard enough. On the same level as Moses, God reveals the future to people all the time. It's the same branch of Christianity that people like Kenneth Copeland, Kat Kerr, and Robin Bullock come from. They speak in tongues a lot of the time too, which is particularly interesting because the verses in the Bible that mention speaking in tongues are proven forgeries. It originally came from the last chapter of Mark, the first of the 4 Gospels to be written. Mark chapter 16 actually ends at verse 8, but some Bibles continue on through verse 20. The NIV Bible put a little marker in that says, the earliest manuscripts and some other ancient witnesses do not have verses 9 to 20. I'm not going to read all 11 verses, but I'll tell the general story and read a couple of irrelevant lines. Basically, Mark ended very abruptly, and some monks didn't really like that, so they went back and they added a few verses for posterity. It starts out talking about how Jesus rose early on the first day of the week and appeared to a few different people, one of whom was Mary Magdalene. But when they told people, nobody believed it. Then it says, later Jesus appeared to the 11 as they were eating, rebuked them for their lack of faith and their stubborn refusal to believe those who had seen him after he had risen. He said to them, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel to all creation." End quote. This is where a lot of religions get the idea of knocking on doors, or soul winning, as the NIFB calls it. There's some other supporting evidence that the Bible wanted people to do that, but this fake verse really started it all for some denominations. Let's keep reading. Quote, "Whoever believes and is baptized will be saved, but whoever does not believe will be condemned. And these signs will accompany those who believe. In my name they will drive out demons." End quote. Exorcisms. Sounding familiar? Quote, "They will speak in new tongues." End quote. There's your speaking in tongues verse. All built on a lie that they continue to propagate. They continue to believe this shit is real, even when we know for a fact that these verses are fake. I wonder if the people who wrote them knew the kind of effect they'd have on future societies. Probably not. Let's keep reading. Quote, "They will speak in new tongues. They will pick up snakes with their hands, and when they drink deadly poison, it will not hurt them at all. They will place their hands on sick people, and they will get well." End quote. Is that one sounding familiar? Faith healing. The other two things mentioned in the verses, drinking poison and handling snakes, are actually illegal in most states in the US nowadays because so many pastors tried to do what the Bible seemed to be telling them in these verses. It led to big problems. West Virginia, Alabama, Kentucky, and Tennessee are fully legal or have legal exemptions to allow preachers to handle snakes if they choose. And it still does happen. It isn't as common as it used to be, but the fact that it happens at all is a travesty. All this from fake verses in the Bible. Anyways, the point is that Big Nick seems to be from that movement. They have some very unique and strange ideas about how the world works, as if it wasn't weird enough already. Check out this next clip from Big Nick's TikTok.
Stay away from secular music. A lot of this music is actually using frequencies to cause you harm. As we know, Satan was Lucifer in heaven, and he was in charge of music. We have to understand that our spiritual enemy knows way more about music than we do. The satanic Illuminati bloodline family, called the Rockefeller family, actually carried out a study on 440 Hz frequency. This programming frequency in music was shown to cause a lot of harm in people, such as greater aggression, psychological agitation, and emotional distress. A lot of big artists in the music industry are actually using this frequency to cause these problems in your life.
Wow, music is satanic, and there's some group out there that specifically sets out to create warriors for Satan by playing music at a certain frequency. How do you even respond to something like that? This is clearly over the deep end. We have left Jesus Town and entered conspiracy land. Let's watch the rest of the clip.
Check out a very popular rapper named XXXTentacion talking about the same exact thing.
Music is frequency program. Music is frequency. What frequency are you being fed? If I play with those frequencies, right, I can target certain parts of the mind.
Ecclesiastes 7:5 in the Bible clearly states it is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools. Stay away from secular music because you don't know the deep spiritual warfare that it may be causing in your life.
Okay, I have no idea who this rapper is or the context behind this, but this is full-blown conspiracy theory now. To believe there was any truth to this would require you to buy into the whole evangelical movement and their beliefs about how the world works. That God tells people the future on a regular basis, that Satan is roving around trying to mess up people's lives, the whole 9 yards. I'm having trouble buying it. And that quote from Ecclesiastes 7:5, "It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools." I feel like that's grasping at straws a little bit. The Bible obviously wasn't even hinting at the idea that Satan was going to go around trying to control people through sound frequencies, but people believe it, so I guess it isn't as obvious as I thought. Let's watch the next clip from Big Nick. Check this out.
If you haven't noticed recently, the Biden administration has been collapsing the American supply chain as multiple ships are left at bay, unable to transport their cargo.
Yeah,
And ultimately, the goal of this is to collapse the free world of America to usher in the New World Order, or the satanic one world government.
Oh boy.
The affirmative task we have now is to actually a new world order.
Yeah, this dude is now full-blown conspiracy theorist. I don't know if you noticed, but that Biden clip is edited to all hell. They didn't even try to make it seem believable. They just found him saying a specific word they wanted him to say, and they crammed it next to two other words they wanted him to say.
The affirmative task we have now is to actually a new world order.
It's so poorly put together that it doesn't even make sense. The affirmative task we have now is to actually, a new world order? That's nonsense. Why didn't they find a clip of him saying usher in or to actualize instead of to actually? I'm guessing it's because they expect the type of people listening to this will already be primed to hear what they want to hear. Before we continue, I wanted to mention something. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, you can support me by checking out my sponsor, CuriosityStream. You've probably heard of them before. It's a streaming service for documentaries. And the fact that you're here watching my channel tells me it's probably something you'd be interested in. I signed up and checked it out. John Green from the Vlog Brothers has a bunch of stuff on there about 19th century America and a bunch of other stuff. I watched this mini-series called Secret Societies about the origins of the Illuminati, the heart of most conspiracy theories. It definitely added context to the claims of people like Big Nick talking about a one-world government.
To usher in the New World Order or the satanic one-world government.
I'm a big fan of CuriosityStream. And on top of that, if you use the code Telltale, it's only $14.99 per year. The code gets you 25% off the original price, which is already ridiculously low. A certain other streaming service we all know and love just raised their prices to $17.99 per month for the premium plan. With the discount, you're only paying $1.25 per month to have an endless number of documentaries at your fingertips. It's on Apple TV, Android, and just about every other streaming hardware you can imagine. So give it a look. The code is Telltale, and there's a link in the description. Okay, so Big Nick apparently believes that the New World Order is coming, and he thinks it's Biden's stated goal to give the country over to Satan. Interesting. So what should we do about it?
I'm making this video today to be a watchman for all of you, but I want to let the righteous men and women of God know not to be stressed out, because in Psalm 37:19, it says, even in days of famine, they shall be satisfied. But definitely stock up on supplies and food and other items you may need in case they're not available.
Wait, why should we be stockpiling supplies if the Bible specifically says Christians will be fine? Isn't that abandoning your trust in God? If you're a true believer, you shouldn't prepare for this at all, right? The evangelical movement has been predicting the end times for decades. Hell, for centuries. Even longer than that. In fact, Jesus' disciples thought it would come in their lifetimes, 2,000 years later, and people are still making predictions. When a date comes and goes, and society remains unchanged, they move the goalpost. Jehovah's Witnesses deeply believed to the bottom of their hearts that the end would come in 1975. They even had a catchphrase, stay alive to 75. If you're on your deathbed, just make it one more day, one more week, one more month. Make it through 1975 and you will never have to die. In Jehovah's Witnesses' case specifically, that was like their 15th failed prediction, so they learned their lesson about hard date setting after that. But they continued on to hint that the world wouldn't live to see the year 2000. I remember this. I was about 10 at the time. Mostly just whispers among the congregation members, but the leadership didn't discourage it. In fact, they went as far as to hint at it in the publications we read every week. And when nothing happened, they said, oh, we forgot there was no year zero. Actually, it would be 2001, not 2000. The date came and went, and here we are. Evangelicals have been doing the same thing for the past few decades. There was even a book called 88 Reasons Why the Rapture Will Be in 1988. Our old buddy Pat Robertson made predictions about the year 1982.
Now, God has called this in the Bible the navel of the earth. Now, a navel is sort of like the place where a child is attached to its mother, and God used this as the place where He entered into human history. And that's why all the world, the United Nations and the nations of the earth, one day are going to come and move against Israel. In I'd give it 1982, but date setting is dangerous. I'd say within the next couple of years, we're going to see a war there. The next major war to be fought in the world is going to be right here.
It never ends. It's been like this for who knows how long, and there's no end in sight. They are convinced the end is right around the corner, and every time there's some hurricane or other natural disaster, they leap for joy in their hearts. There's a silver lining behind every mushroom cloud. Let's hope they don't turn the expectation into a self-fulfilling prophecy. Check out the next clip by Big Nick.
We are living in the end times. Check out this new report. This article came out last week. One World Religion headquarters set to open next year. In biblical end time prophecy, specifically Revelation 17:1, it speaks about the punishment of the great prostitute. Now, this is actually known as a metaphor for a false, inclusive, upcoming one world religion that's supposed to come in the future. And check out this part of the article. It's going to blow your mind. In this inclusive one world religion, Christians are allowed to convert to Islam, but citizens of Abu Dhabi, where this headquarters is stationed at, are not free to choose Christ.
What? A one world religion? What does that even mean? Okay, well, I'm not one to discount an argument just because it sounds absurd. Let's see if we can find it. Looks like it's on a website called backtojerusalem.com, and it was written by Eugene. Who the fuck is Eugene? Is there a source for this extraordinary claim he's making, or is he just coming out guns blazing on this one? I just want to point out a couple things here. The post is listed as uncategorized. After coming out of software engineering, I used to see this kind of thing all the time on content management systems like WordPress or Magento. They have a tagging system set up that isn't always used by the people writing the articles. It looks like this website was lazily thrown together. Oh, here's Eugene's bio. Let's see what it says. Quote, Dr. Eugene Bach is a known troublemaker with an active imagination and sinful past. He has a PhD but is not a real doctor, so please do not call for him during a medical emergency on an airplane when someone is having a heart attack. End quote. I wonder what his PhD is in. I'm suspicious. Can we get the name of the school? Can we get the subject? Anything at all? I looked him up in Google Scholar to see if he's been cited by other PhDs. I don't know if this is the same guy, but there's a book written by a Eugene Bach called Kidnapped by a Cult, A Pastor's Stand Against a Murderous Sect, written by Shen Xiaoming with Eugene Bach. Apparently, it's kind of like this Shen Xiaoming person's biography. The only other citation by anybody named Eugene Bach was another book titled China and End Time Prophecy, How God is Using the Red Dragon to Fulfill His Ultimate Purposes. No citations. I'm in here looking for his dissertation. Being a PhD, I'd expect to see something published by him, but I'm not really seeing anything. Wait, are you telling me Big Nick lied to me? This article isn't legit? It wasn't written by a verified news agency of some sort? Some organization with a set of journalistic ethics and standards? I am shocked. Shocked! Needless to say, Big Nick goes off the deep end with some of this stuff. He isn't just a Christian trying to spread the message of Jesus. He's an evangelical that's completely unhinged from reality. With 3 million TikTok subbies, this kind of thing is a problem. Roping in people who don't know any better. It's sad. But I'll be damned if it isn't hilarious to watch Big Nick go completely off the rails into La La Land. Anyways, that's all I've got for you. Thanks for watching, guys.